Welcome to Envision Broadcasting, the station designed to encourage, equip, and empower you for growth and success presents The Momentum Shift. A show where we get inspired, we get moving, and we get results. Every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern with your host, Eric Collier. He's the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, bringing you inspiring interviews and empowering stories that will help to improve lives. If you're ready to start making the impossible possible, then you've joined the right show, because the momentum shift is what you've been looking for.
An individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you can possibly become. Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man. What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You got to get in the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this. Hello and welcome to the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. I'm C. Eric Collier, your host, also known as the Mayor of Motivation, and I'm excited to have you join me. As you know, each week I always have a little exciting guest to join us, and they're always momentum shifters. They're people who've gone from stuck to moving forward, and that's what every episode is about. How can we provide value to help you move forward and go from being stuck to living in a life that you once believed was impossible for you? Part of this story I always like is when you're trying to create a momentum shift, you got that law of uncertainty says that, even though I don't know what's going on or what's going to happen, I got to move forward. Everything doesn't have to be perfect for you to get started. So with that, my guest today, she's going to tell you all about not being perfect and moving forward and how she challenged herself. Lifted her own self. I can't tell the story. I'm sorry. I'm not. Let her tell you. I get carried away. I love it, man. I love it. I'm really excited about it. Her story is awesome. So please join me in welcoming our guest, Dr. Mary Burmeister, fitness instructor, coach, and physical therapist. Mary, thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
I talk a lot on these things. It's like I get excited about my guests and sharing their story because I think, first of all, thank you for joining me because it takes a lot of courage to step out and do something you've never done before. And so as we move forward in this, I always ask my first question, and that is, what does momentum shifting mean to you and how has it changed your life?
So momentum shifting really was just, making one simple decision, and it just snowballs into, excitement and to do the next thing. Like, what other thrill can I get off of this?
Okay.
Just changing little things. And that's how I've gotten 3 years into this journey, and I'm super excited to share it with everybody.
Yeah. Was it easy for you?
No.
All right. So tell us a little bit now. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Dr. Mary Burmeister?
Well, I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I've been a physical therapist for 10 years, and I was mainly focused on geriatrics for most of my life. And that, led me into, a lot of different environments and the healthcare system. And, COVID happened and I was back in a hospital, and that really snowballed my drinking habits.
Okay.
And dealing with a lot of the burnout with that. And, you know, back in January of 2022, I had enough after burying a grandparent. And I woke up one day and was like, I'm done drinking. And here I am. I've moved 13 hours from my home state in the
Okay.
last year
Got you.
and took a dream of starting a fitness coaching business. And here I am.
And there it is, right? You didn't know. All right, so let's take a look at that. You got to a point where enough was enough. And you said, I got to do something different. And you did it. I'll always ask the question because when it gets to enough is enough, we've known for a while, I need to change things. How long do you find yourself in that spiral? Because I know that alcohol, I battle with it myself. I never claimed that I was an alcoholic, but I can guarantee you I drank enough for everybody. So, and I don't get me wrong. I know there's a struggle. Everybody struggles. There are people who struggle with something, and it's tough. It ruins relationships. It's a challenge. It ruins your health, your careers, and so I think it's important to know that you can walk away from it, but it's a challenging. So talk to me a little bit about how long you knew that you needed to change some things in your life.
Well, in 2011, I lost my dad and was going through a pretty bad breakup, rough relationship. And I spiraled pretty bad drinking then, and I got help. Um, Went to PT school, which curbed my drinking habits. They
Mhm.
were still occasional. And then in 2020, I went through a pretty nasty divorce and COVID happened. So I was drinking for the next 2 years, pretty much daily. And I mean, I just got to the point that I wasn't going to have the life that I truly dreamed of, having a family, being, early 30s, starting over was terrifying to me.
Yeah.
So drowning everything in alcohol, pretending I was the fun party girl. I didn't want to be that girl anymore. So the only thing that I could think of that was going to fix the issue was to give up the alcohol and really, do the inner deep work,
Yeah.
and went back into, just focusing on my fitness and everything that I knew from college basketball through PT school and just kind of building it to something that was sustainable. And I haven't had really any even thought to have a drink in the last 3 years, even
Well,
during
that's
the
good.
hardest times. I mean, I
Yeah.
can count on one hand how many times I've even considered. And I
Right.
think about like what it made me feel like on the daily. So I'm like, why would I want to do that?
Yeah, it's big. So I think so. What we talk about is what's the hardest thing about change, and that's changing things, right? So what did you start with? Because I saw in your story, you help with you have a lot of empowering, motivational quotes. Talk to me a little bit about where you started when you decided it was gonna happen.
Strangely enough, I was just following some random quote pages on Instagram, and they were just like kind of motivating me to do something different.
Yeah.
And the night of January 4th, after my grandpa's funeral, I had some beers and I went to bed. And it was after literally an 8-day bender that was very ugly. And I read something and I don't even remember what it was, but I was like, it just finally stuck. And I was like, I'm doing this. I didn't
Yeah.
tell anybody for months that I was just not going to drink anymore.
Right.
I kind of self isolated, but it was necessary because I needed to get my head right before I could face everybody that knew me as the fun drunk.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're the one. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's the one. Yeah. What do you say? Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Sometimes we are that person, right?
right.
Yeah, it happens. It happens. So I see. So when you talk about self-love, I love that you say, well, you see her then, and you know her then, now you know her. you know her now, or something like that. You have those beautiful quotes. So is self-talk one of your big things you work with people on?
Absolutely. I am 3 weeks out from my first fitness competition, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, so getting to that point where I'm not constantly seeking validation from others, like, oh, you're doing just fine, or talking myself through it. Like, this is a new experience, being a college basketball player, going to trying to walk in 4-inch heels,
Yeah.
the grace and flow is a completely different aspect. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, just, shifting mindsets, talking to yourself positively, because we have to give ourselves grace when we're taking on new challenges, because it's scary. You don't know what the end result really feels like. You can just imagine it. And I mean, just that constant daily self-care of knowing that you're enough just where you are and who you are.
Yeah. That's a huge, right? That self-love, no longer doubting who I am and why I'm here. That's big.
Yes.
So I like because you talk about being playing ball in college. You've talked about playing softball, and so I'm a baseball player. Played sports throughout since I was 6 years old, but baseball was my love, and actually walked on. Never got a scholarship because I was the bottom. I was what is it? I was the top of the bottom of the class. So so I got a chance to play ball in junior college, so it was pretty cool. Um, it's tough to walk away, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Um, I just, was reflecting on this the other day, because I graduated from undergrad and then I went straight to physical therapy school. So there's a little bit of competitive camaraderie there. And then after that, I kind of felt stuck after, going into the workforce, and like, where do I go now?
yeah,
And I worked out, but I'd work out to the point where I'd burn out after, and then take a month off and go back into the drinking cycle, and back and forth. Um, but just finding that being able to be that competitive person with myself, and
right.
putting myself into marathons, and now this fitness competition, just finding ways to channel and have that long-term goal to
Yeah,
work towards. And with this fitness competition, it's a lot of patience, because it's not just you go run 10 miles, 12 miles, just doing all that. This is, you got to sit and wait, you got to eat the proper food, you've
yeah,
got to make sure you're getting the sleep, you're working out, you're working on your, posing, and just your internal validation and self-love
yeah.
to put yourself out there on stage.
Yeah, it's big, right? I'm gonna get up there and stand up in front of everybody and say, "Hey, take a look at me." But you know what I think though? I always preach that the sports teaches you a lot. That competitive nature that you need, whether you're competing in an actual event against people, but every day you're competing against yourself to become a better version of you, right? So you look at what it was that helped you become a starting pitcher. Well, you didn't just wake up in the morning and go, I'm going to be a starting pitcher. You probably had to put a little hours into that, right? You probably had to put a few years into it, right? So the process. Talk to me a little bit about how you help people understand being in the process of becoming better.
So, process is, you have to just take on one thing and then snowball. Like in the fitness space, a lot of people try to take on a vigorous fitness program, and then they're trying to change their diet and do all the things at one time, versus just picking one, getting it mastered, for a couple weeks at least, so that you get the feel for it, and then diving into another aspect. So for me, like fitness wise, implementing a simple fitness program that you can be consistent with for 2 to 4 weeks. And then we can look at your nutrition and make just small changes in that, instead of like completely overhauling it. And leading to overwhelm and, burnout, which is something that I've had to learn in the last year, is that it is okay to take a break and
Right.
just trust the process of things, because I did force myself into a 4-month burnout trying to fight through a pneumonia,
Uh-huh.
and, had to pull out of races. So, just teaching people that it is okay to take a break, and that, society pushes us to do more all the time.
Yeah.
But that's where we have to, learn to validate ourselves that it's okay to take a break and relax.
Yeah. True. I know. So you talked about running, and now I'm curious about something. So did you break your foot while you're running a marathon, and you still finished the marathon,
Half marathon, yeah.
a half
I
marathon?
so I had a stress fracture back in college, and then my first half marathon, 10 years later, I was having some pain before the race that I noticed, and I just chalked it up as a tight muscle. But by the
Okay.
time I got done running, I mean, the adrenaline was so high during the race that I didn't notice it. It was when I stopped, and after I got across the finish line, I could hardly put weight on my leg. So
Oh,
back
hey,
in a boot, I went for a few weeks, nurtured that, and came back the next year and ran the full marathon with no issues.
really? Wow, that's big because that's because it's painful, and in your head you're like, man, this is too much. This is at some point, right? You're like, oh wow, and it's probably like boom, and the more you think about it, it's probably like throbbing to this huge every step, right? And so
Right.
you still fought through it. I think for me to continue to just keep pushing. That's a mantra that I live by. It's like yeah, you may have to shut it down sometime, but you still got to find a way to make some things happen. Just because you shut down the work, you can still think, right? You can still connect, you can still read, you can still do different things, but you don't have to do it at a high level all the time, right?
Right.
So talk to me about on your journey here. So with that, talk to me a little bit about some of the inspiring stories of the people you've had to you gotten a chance to work with. He's like, Mom, Mom. What kind of dog is he?
He's a boxer.
She's a boxer. She's like, I
Mhm.
need your attention, Mom.
No.
That's cool. They're
Yeah.
fun. They're fun. So talk to me a little bit about any inspiring stories you may have about the people you worked with. Well, hold on
So,
a second. Hold on a second. Let's talk about your story first
okay.
because I saw there's a picture you had of then and now of you. All right. Tell everybody about that whole process for me. So it was like
Which,
you think you had I think you had a beer in your hand
oh,
and your t-shirt and the next
yeah.
one you're like I'm working out and yeah, talk to me a little bit about that
Yeah.
journey, how much weight you lost and how about that whole thing.
So over the last, well, that was my dad's birthday, who I was celebrating his birthday. He was in heaven, and he always drank whiskey. And so I was with friends, and I mean, typically whenever it was a toast to my dad, it was a shot of whiskey and a beer. And I was always notorious to have two drinks in hand as the competitive person. I always had to outdrink everybody,
Yeah.
naturally. So from that point, I think that was one of my all-time highs in my life. I was about 170, and I have lost 30 pounds since then. This last 12 weeks, I've dropped 20 pounds for my cut for the fitness competition.
Okay. Got you.
Um, and that's, I mean, a lot of it was just really dialing in on my nutrition and, really macro focused versus, you know, I used to eat pretty mindfully and just really focus on making sure I had enough protein to sustain, muscle mass. Um, and yeah, I mean, just looking back at that photo, it just makes me cringe every time, but it also makes me very proud that I was able to overcome that, because I was the typical small town Iowa girl, and
Okay.
yeah, small town Iowa. Uh, I mean, we drink a lot,
Yeah.
and I had to break that cycle for myself, and that led into one of my favorite transformations of another person or client, and somebody that has dealt with a lot of internal struggles being gay and not coming out till later in life, and choosing alcohol to, mask their sexuality and just their, how they showed up.
Right.
And they have come a long ways in it's almost a year. And just seeing them thrive and make changes consistently in their life have been super gratifying to me, to know that my stopping alcohol had led to this effect
Yeah.
on them. And every day is a blessing to, see those people make those big shifts, and their process is not, or their journey is not, linear with mine.
Right.
Just now trying to get them into like the more mindset stuff, the deep inner work, to overcome some of those insecurities, because they were, kind of in a self-isolation stage where I was, and, getting them to be more comfortable outside.
Yeah. That's cool. The congratulations to them. I think that's awesome. Sometimes you need to meet somebody who you can connect with, and it
Mm-hmm.
really helps you out. You can share their story and just kind of work through things. Be brave enough and courageous enough to go out there and do it, and to hell with everybody else, right? What you think about me is not my worry at all, my concern, right?
Right. Right.
So
And
hey, that's all. Just keep it moving, keep it moving.
it's easier said than done, though,
It
because
is.
we create these stories in our head that people are judging us all the time. And,
Yeah.
that's a big thing that, me personally, I've had to let go of and just be confident, because, starting new ventures, like, a business venture is completely foreign language to me.
Yeah.
But you tell me to go train for a marathon, like, no problem, I'll figure it out. Like, that's easy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to feel like at the end, but I can, kind of depict what it might feel like, with those last 6 miles that everybody says is super tough.
Yeah.
But
That's cool. I call it getting stuck in mental quicksand. And that's what it, because it really feels that way. You're like,
right.
I just can't. You're like, and I'm sinking. I can't get out of it. It's like you're just constricted. You're just like, let me out. It's a huge challenge, because I say you sell yourself what you tell yourself. And we can sit there all day long. I'm not any good. I don't belong here. Everybody's just saying this about me. They're saying this about me. All these different stories. I think things get lost in communication, body gestures and everything, gesture and everything else. We can read people wrong, and when we read them wrong, we just start, like I said, the stories we start telling ourselves. Next thing you know, the whole world's against us. and and it may not be that case, right? And if they are against me, I think that's great, because I love fighting. I love moving forward. I prove you wrong all day long. I don't care. You can tell me what you want to tell me, and I go, okay, no problem. But I'm off and running. And I think that's the key, don't you? Right? Being able to operate in
Absolutely.
uncertainty. I don't know what it's like. I don't know if it's gonna hurt. I don't know. Now I do know I'm never jumping out of a plane. I just know that's not
Oh,
gonna
come on.
happen. I'm not going to do that. Like I just read.
I do want to do a skydiving adventure
Yeah.
at some point.
I have to admit it does look interesting. A couple of friends of mine jumped out, and I'm like, wow, that would be probably be pretty cool. Right now, I'm just like, I enjoyed. I used to race motorcycles for a little bit. I like to get on the motorcycle and go down the track for like 150 miles an hour or more. And I'm like, that's really cool. That way, if I crash, I just slide. Right? It's that splat. I'm not really interested. But that's the story you tell, right? You're like, oh my gosh. And you get up there and you see everybody else's video, and you're like, they're just enjoying it, right? Seeing the world from a different view. sooner or later we got to get that opportunity, give ourselves a chance. So talk to me a little bit about some of the programs you have going on.
So my signature program is the Ageless Athlete Program. It
I like
is
that.
geared for, former athletes, typically women over 30, just wanting to regain that edge and, work as a physical therapist. We focus on, old injuries that, kind of leave us doubting ourselves if we can do some things. But it absolutely is possible.
Yeah,
Coming from, back and hip injuries from college, I struggled to even run 3 to 5 miles,
got you.
10 years after I graduated. And then now, running a marathon and having hardly any pain just from, mindful movement and really focusing in on the strength training and clearing the emotional pains that tend to, manifest as the physical pains, and overcoming the fears of, oh, what if I get injured again?
Yeah, that's a big
And
one.
just channeling that inner athlete and, finding ways to be able to continue to use that mindset,
Yeah,
without, pushing hard all the time, but
right.
still, you know, being mindful and having that adrenaline rush up every now and again.
Yeah. I like it. The ageless athlete. I love that. I got to make sure my grandkids, I got 6 grandkids, 3 boys, 3 girls, and 3 adult children. So I can't wait to tell them, look, I'm an ageless athlete. I can do this stuff.
Absolutely. Age is literally just a number,
I agree
like I
with you.
said,
Yeah,
my life turned upside down at 30, and I didn't think there was anything to live for other than alcohol. And finally I was like, you know what? I can act as young or as old as I want to, and I'm going to reclaim my life.
there we go. What does it say? It says that a individual lives twice. The day they were born and then the day they realized, was it the day they were born again or something like that? I think that's how the quote goes. And I think that's good because when you realize your purpose, that's when a new life starts, right? You transformation, you start changing, doing things differently, thinking differently. I think it's huge. I think it's empowering, right? To wake up every day. Think about this. So I look at where I was. So so we connect on some different things. Shoulder injuries, back, knees. I'm there, right? So, but when we talk about this alcohol thing, right? Um, it's real. And so I think one of the reasons we can get caught up is because we're not realizing exactly who we are and what we have left to give, right? And I think we're searching for something. We don't know where to go. And so I think that was kind of some of the reasons for procrastination. Huge, right? Procrastination. Spending my day all day long watching everybody else live their dream on TV, right? And I wasn't living mine.
Right?
It happens, right? Then
Absolutely.
the people you hang around with. Talk to me a little bit about who you had to give up and how whether or not it was difficult.
I mean, like I said, the first few months I literally self-isolated. I, went to work, I came home and I worked out, ate, went to sleep, wake up, repeat. And instead of going out on the weekends, I would plan really hard workouts on the weekends to prevent me from even wanting to leave my house because, my legs would be sore from 1,000 lunges or something crazy. But
Yeah.
like just feeling that empowerment. But I mean, I had to give up. I mean, I gave up quite a bit, realizing that I was giving more of myself than I was getting back in return.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've worked on reconnecting, and those that, were truly important to me stayed in my life and have endured some tough times with me over the last 3 years of, me just kind of shutting out, or, I moved away from a lot of my family
Yeah.
and my friends. But, you know, I, it was something I had to do. I had to just let go of some of those things. And I would still go out and, to the bars with friends. Cause like I said, I didn't have any issue like saying no to it.
Right.
for a while, or for the most part, but it was a different vibe, because when you're not drinking, you notice like how, as everybody else has one drink and then the next one, the
Yeah.
volume of the room just gets so loud.
What is it?
And
The smart cells go away, right?
right, and you know, all of the reservations are out the window, and you
Yeah.
just are hearing all of these things, and I'm like, this doesn't resonate with where I'm going anymore.
Yeah.
Um,
My brother and
so
I
I mean,
talk about that a lot. Yeah.
it's definitely hard. But like I said, when you step back and you see, you know, who's going to help you with your growth and who's not, you kind of have to cut the cord and move on, and
Yeah.
hope to God that they kind of reattach at some point and
Yeah.
realize like, hey, I can do this too.
Yeah. I think so. We talk about our connection a little bit here. So you grew up in Iowa.
I
What
did.
part?
I grew up in a small town, Lost Nation, Iowa. It's in eastern Iowa.
Lost Nation. So
Yeah.
I grew up in a small town, Danville, Illinois, and
Okay.
so I graduated to California. I went west. You left, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you headed west, right? So I think I like it because one of the things that I always say, it's one of the best things that ever happened to me because I did get away from an environment that I was ready to leave. And I think you grow up. You have to grow up real soon, right? Because you're on your own. You don't have much out there. And so now, not only that, you got to reconnect. Are you a connector? Or are you somebody who sits back and watches people for a while? Or are you just like you step in the room, you're like, I'm here. How you doing? What's going on with you? What's going on with you? Tell me a little bit about yourself. You know, are you like the ultimate networker?
No, I'm definitely not the ultimate networker. When I was drinking, yes, I was.
Yeah,
I was the loud, obnoxious one, but that was, I mean, 100% the reason why I drank was so I could feel more outgoing.
right.
Um, Now I just like to sit back and read the room and kind of
Yeah,
see what's going on. And then, I mean, I'm very outgoing. It's just now I just like to see who's, you know, get a feel for it first.
gotcha. I know one of the things that went down with me when I started my journey was the guy asked me, he said, what are you reading? Like, what? He said, what are you reading? And so I hadn't read, I was around 30 when I started changing my life around. And I hadn't read, the only book I had actually read was The Godfather from cover to cover, right? Cover to back, right? That was it. Nothing else. I always tell people through school I cheated on the book reports. I didn't read nothing. Right?
Me too. I did too.
I want to go play ball, right? Do something, party hardy, right? And so I asked that question because what's the first book you read? First book I read would have been the Think and Grow Rich would have been the first book, and the two books that really changed my life was Les Brown's Living Dreams, and then Dr. Dennis Kimbrough's What Makes the Great Great. So talk to me a little bit about the books you've read that have inspired your movement.
Well, I mean, it's super funny that I never picked up a book either after, PT school, but I started listening to audiobooks,
There you go.
and like 2 or 3 months into my journey, I listened to one of the David Goggins books. I think it was
Oh,
the second one,
God is
Never
beast.
uh Never Give Up or Never Quit.
Uh-huh.
And so I read that, like, just listened to that just randomly, and I was hooked, and I ended up going back and listening to Can't Hurt Me. And yeah, I got into a pretty hard David Goggins mindset for a while, hence how I got through that first half marathon with the stress
Yeah.
fracture in my leg.
Yeah, I was connected with that. I was like, yeah, see, Goggins, there we go.
Yeah, that was a lot of motivation to just really tap into like my physical mindset, and just overcoming, fatigue and pain.
Yeah.
But I've had to since shift a little bit, because like I said, I got super hard, and like the walls were still up about, everything else in my life, and trying to make connections and do this new marketing and business venture, I was like, something's got to shift. And so I've
Yeah.
worked a lot on overcoming that. And now it's my new favorite, The Mindset
Oh,
Book by Carol Dweck.
I got that. I love it. Yes, I love it. Yeah, Carol Dweck. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm big on that. That mindset is huge, right? I think
absolutely.
I was teaching leadership and facilitating a leadership and development session this week, and I was telling people, a lot of times when you learn something new, you tend to go half-ass on things, right? You're like when you're doing it wrong, you're all out. But when
Mhm.
somebody changes it and puts you in a new direction, you're not trusting it. You're like, you're doubting yourself if I can do that. I don't know. And so you're just kind of halfway with it until you really start trying. I encourage people to just try it. Go all out, try it, work your way into it, get some small victories. I think I saw something where you said, because momentum shift, this is what we do, right? Momentum shift,
Right.
we get the small wins. Talk to me a little bit about how you help people get the small wins. Walk me through. I'm your new client. Walk me through where we're going to start getting these small wins.
I mean, knocking out that first workout,
Okay.
you know, getting something that feels empowering. I'm not a big person on scales. I've never really loved scales. A lot of people dwell on the number on there and they're not seeing it shift or they're
Yeah.
gaining and they aren't understanding, like your water intake and things like that really affect the scale. I mean, it can vary 3 to 5 pounds a day based on what time you weigh.
Right.
So, trying to avoid that and just focusing on how you feel and knocking out, that first week of workouts. Hey,
Yeah.
that's super awesome. And they're starting to feel really good about themselves because they've been more consistent now than they've ever been. And then, tapping into, hey, you can really probably eat a lot more than what you're eating
Right.
because I'm finding women are way under eating for any sort of activity level, let alone their hormone regulation. And I'm like, no wonder you're feeling like you're burning out. So,
Yeah.
getting them to be able to eat, like teaching them, hey, get more protein here and, you can have more carbs here. Like it's actually going to benefit you and they start feeling better. And again, like it just kind of shifts and understanding that, I was eating 2,500 to 3,000 calories before this competition and they're,
Yeah.
maintaining a weight and having so much energy all the time. So just like getting them to, buy into that is, kind of pivotal for them to know that it's safe to eat. But society tends to make us feel like you have to eat less, you have to exercise more.
Right.
And women are not built like men. Like we have we have a monthly cycle of
Yeah.
hormones and things that we have to regulate. And if we're not nourishing ourselves, we're not gonna be the best that we can.
Yeah.
So
Throws things off, right? Yeah.
absolutely.
I can relate to that scale thing. So when I started working out, first of all, I found out I wasn't the athlete I was, but I eventually got to it. I started doing the insanity workout, and I was like, whoo, man. And I was like, we got to cardio, and we started doing burpees. I'm like, oh, I can do these burpees. And I went down, and on my way up, my feet didn't get all the way where they needed to be, and I about fell right through the TV. And I was like, ooh, this is real here. But you keep pushing through it, right? You keep working, and then you realize, hold up, they're stopping to talk to you because they're tired too. It's okay to be tired. But
Right.
one of the biggest things I learned was you can't jump on the scale every day. Just leave it alone. Because I started and I'm like, stop jumping on the scale. It's not going to change
Mhm.
anytime soon. And I
Right.
went to jumping on it every day. I said, well, I'll just jump on it at the end of the month, see where I'm at. And that's how I roll. And it's pretty cool. Is one of the things happens when you start getting that momentum shift. First of all, you start experiencing that you can work out a little bit longer, right? Your cardio is boosted up. You're getting stronger and you're feeling better about yourself. And the funny thing is, when your weight starts falling off, you don't realize it. You're not paying much attention. You're pulling your clothes up and tightening your belt, but you're really not paying attention until somebody goes, "Hey, are you losing weight?" And you're like, "Huh? Am I losing?" "Oh Yeah. Because you're so into it and you're rolling.
Right.
So I think that's a great feeling to get people start getting some momentum shifts going.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's another big thing is, having my clients focus on like, how do your clothes fit? Like, how do you feel in them?
Yeah.
And, shifting their mindset on, positive self-talk every morning in the mirror and
Yeah.
just appreciating the work that you're putting in, because even if you show up for 5 minutes versus 55 minutes, you showed up that day and did,
Yeah.
you know, your quick 5 minute home workout routine, just something to keep you in that flow to say, hey, I knocked off another day, and having that accountability.
Yeah. And you know
It's
what?
definitely rewarding.
What I found, tell me if you've experienced this. There are days when you just like, oh, man, I'm not feeling it, but I'm gonna go put this workout in because I need to get it in. And that's one of the best workouts you have that day. It's
100%. It happened yesterday.
okay.
I mean, obviously I'm currently working with a coach for my program or for my competition, and just having that accountability, knowing like I have to check that box.
Yeah.
And yesterday I was dreading it, and I was like, I just need to go get it done, go through the motions. And I actually, for some reason, got an energy surge during the
Yeah.
workout. And I mean, I lifted heavier than I had in a couple weeks. So I was
There we
like, this
go.
is great. Like I needed that. But today I said I was taking the day off because I am so close to the prep. I just, and calories are decreasing. I just
Yeah.
needed to take a break. So I rewarded myself for showing up and, understanding that it is okay. My body is getting tired, getting closer to the competition. I need to take a break.
Yeah. It's good. I like it. Yeah. You need to shut it down. So talk to me a little bit about who inspires you.
I would have to say, I mean, Caitlin Clark,
Okay.
are you familiar with Caitlin Clark?
I don't know. She might shoot a basketball here and there.
Oh, okay.
She might be pretty decent at basketball.
Okay, just making sure you know what I'm talking about. Because just recently I said the name and they were like, who are you talking about? I was like,
Really?
I
Yeah.
mean, watching that girl play and, being a former basketball player, like I get like just talking about her, just her mindset and her work ethic on the court has just been so phenomenal. And seeing that just gives me motivation to keep wanting to push myself.
Yeah.
I wish I would have, obviously can't go back in time, but
Right.
being a college athlete, I used to drink a lot in college, even as an athlete,
Yeah.
because that's the only way I knew how to cope with different things. And had I not been drinking, things could have been different. So now I'm making my life different to make up, I shouldn't say make up, but to be able to put forth that effort that I wish I could have then.
Yeah.
Yeah, just watching her and being at some of the games just like lit me up and really just drove me to keep pushing forward
Yeah.
and taking on more challenges and just doing different things for myself to be that athlete that I know I could have been then.
Right. There's no Iowa bias there at all, though, right? Just want to make sure.
No.
Yeah. No Hawkeye bias. No. Okay. All right. But you got to go through the tough things to learn, what to do, right? So I think what you're doing is you're getting yourself ready because an opportunity is only an opportunity if you're ready for that opportunity, right? So you getting yourself and you're putting yourself in position. I think it's great. I think I think when you look at what you're doing, it is a challenge, a huge challenge to go from where you were to what you're doing now. When you talk about losing weight, and when you talk about getting better, there's a point where you feel like, oh, I'm there, but you still got so much more to go. How is it what's a routine that you keep yourself going through? Let's say, what is a routine you get up in the morning to really get yourself ready to go?
So, I mean, ever since I started the journey in 2022, like morning workouts really set the tone for my day.
Okay.
And, I was getting up between 4:30 and 5 every day before I'd go to work and getting in a good workout. And sometimes I would run after work, but that morning, how I set my day, like,
Mhm.
getting a workout has made the most of the rest of my days, because then I don't have to worry about having to get it done, or if I don't get up and do it, then I feel like you have to dread and show up and do it after the long work day. But having just a set routine with the workout has been key.
I like it. Yeah. Like, this is it. This is my time. I'm going to put it in, and you're going to have to wait till I get finished working out before I give you anything else. I like it. And you have to guard your time, right? You only get it to 24 hours a day. You got to guard your time. You can't get much, if you start giving your time away, you're missing out on taking care of you. So, I see. So let's go here. What do you have coming up?
Coming up in regards to what?
Well, you have your big event coming up.
Oh,
right?
yes.
You have your big event coming up, and I'm excited about that. Where is that? Who's that with? What organization is that with?
It is the NPC Mid-American Winter Classic. It's in Illinois. So flying back to the Midwest for that.
Cool deal. When's that go down?
December 7th.
Okay, cool deal. Sweet.
Yeah.
Everybody check her out. NPC, December 7th. I like it. All right. So what do you have?
First time.
Yeah. It's going to be cool, man. It's going to be really cool.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's going to be real nice. What do you have outside of that? You have anything for well, that's going to help boost your business as well. That's going to show everybody, look, I know exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go. Yeah.
100%. And just part of the reason am doing that is to, just see how hard it is to be in such a calorie deficit, because like I'd mentioned before, like, women tend to eat way less than what they should be eating to sustain general energy levels. So, I mean, that was like one of the biggest things, and to, just see where that took me. And moving forward from this competition, I'm not 100% sure.
Gotcha.
I
book
deferred the Pikes Peak Marathon this past September, because I was sick.
Gotcha.
So that I still have a registration for. Like, I've paid in full for that. So that could be on my list next year, is, running up Pikes Peak and back down.
Cash that check in. Boop, boop. All right. What about a book? Any book?
It's been on my mind.
Yeah. It takes a little bit.
It's been on my mind. I just haven't sat down and like honed in my entire life, because still trying to work through some rocky things, but I'm sure that would help just get it out.
Hey, look, you are perfect in your imperfectness. Don't worry about it. You're good.
I know. I have to remind myself every day, progress, not perfection.
There we go.
It doesn't have to be good, just do it.
There we go. I like it. There we go. So, do you want to share anything else with the audience before we go?
I mean, I don't really I feel like I've talked a lot about what's going on in my life, and most of my journey, I mean, I shouldn't say most of it. There's a lot that has gone on in my life, but everybody has their own story, and, just be kind to others, because you never know what battles they're facing.
Yeah.
On the daily that they don't portray or don't tell you.
Yeah, so true. So true. I speak to everybody, and for that reason, because you never know what people are going through, and just a nice, hey, how you doing today? What's going on? It can change things. So that's a great word there. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So with that, Dr. Mary Burmeister, thank you for joining us. I really enjoyed your story, enjoyed talking with you. You truly are a momentum shifter, and I wish you nothing but the best. So with that, thank you for joining us. This is the Momentum Shift podcast and radio show. We're glad to have you. We look forward to having you back next week when we continue on our journey of overcoming uncertainty to really take your life to another level. I'm C. Eric Collier. This is Dr. Mary Burmeister, who is joining me today. Till next week, take care.
An individual will face is the gap that stands between where they are now and what they could become. So the question becomes, are you willing to climb? The greatest trick the mind will ever pull is convincing you that your greatness does not exist. Mama used to say, she said, Eric, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. And she means that you reap what you sow. You get what you put in. And so you got to put the work in. Why? Because you're going to step your game up and tap into that untapped potential of yours and become the greatest person that you can possibly become.
Momentum shift. When you get stuck, you got to find a way to get going. And that is all about elevating your performance. You have to realize that high-level results are not products of low-level effort. So you got to step your game up. So you get stuck, you got to get yourself moving. And when you're down in the dumps, you're the only one that's going to be there. So you got to be your own hype man.
What happens is when you don't realize that you have all that you ever need to create the life that you want to live, you're missing out. You're standing at the base of that mountain thinking and hoping somebody's going to save you when all you got to do is take action. Theodore Roosevelt said, he said that the credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena with their face marred in dust with sweat and blood. You've got to get in the arena, claim your moment, take the opportunity to take your shot. Then when you're in that arena, think about this.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Welcome to the Momentum Shift, a show where we get inspired, get moving, and get results. My name is Eric Collier. I'm a veteran of the United States Army and Navy. I'm a 2-time Amazon International best-selling co-author, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I love helping people, and I love coaching people. And I've done that successfully for over 20 years because I really want to see people win. And there is no greater feeling of joy than to witness someone who has just experienced that aha moment go on and change their lives and start doing what they thought was impossible and turning it into what is possible for them. So my goal, my mission each week is to simply do this: help improve lives. That's all I want to do. Help you improve your life because you deserve to live in the greatness that is you.
Thank you for joining The Momentum Shift, a show bringing you interviews and stories of incredible people to help you get inspired, get moving, and get results to ultimately create the life-changing momentum shift that will improve your life. Join host Eric Collier, the mayor of motivation and mental quicksand expert, every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern for The Momentum Shift, the show and change you've been looking for.